Alright, so I made a video a couple days ago talking about my first impression on 3.0 update, and after thinking about it for a while, I realized the big issues of the story in Honkai Star Rail, and that was even further displayed to me after playing through Reno Sita and Wuthering Waves. So I made a list on things Honkai Star Rail should do to really make the story better. Disclaimer for story spoilers up to 3.0. Before we get into it, if you want to enjoy this video at any point, be sure to like and subscribe as it really does help me out a lot. We hit 2,000 subscribers, which I am very grateful for, so the next goal is 3,000 subscribers. And if you want a cool place to talk about Honkai Star Rail, consider joining the Express Train Discord server at the link down below. But without further ado, let's just get into it. Number 1. The story length. The story length is not good when you consider what's actually being told in the story. The Rappa quest is a perfect example of this. I really don't think that quest needed to be as long as it was, and honestly I found it to be one of the worst quests that we've ever had. And in 2.7, while I do believe the quest is underwhelming, I think the length of the quest versus what it was about was good, only being about 3 hours long. I think for these quests, a good length is around 4 to 5 hours, as to be honest, by the 5.5 to 6 hour mark, you're already losing me. This patch's story is about 8 to 10 hours long, though it was shorter for me because it ended up skipping a lot towards the end. And for the next few things we're going to talk about, they are amplified even heavier by the amount of it due to the increased length of the story. And the sad thing is, a lot of it comes down to a lot of talking, and for lack of a better term, yapping by the characters. If your story is not worth 6 hours of being told, then do not make it 6 hours long. People won't be upset by the length of it as long as the content itself is good, but the issue is the quests are so long but aren't engaging, interesting, or eventful most of the time. Just like the story length increasing, the number of banners has increased as well. So with all these banners coming around, you might want a way to save money on your seller jades. Might I recommend checking out lootbar.gg. Lootbar is a website that offers cheaper top-ups for games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, and many other games. Lootbar offers a 23% discount on top-ups compared to the official in-game stores, and if you're using Lootbar for the first time, you can get an 8% discount coupon. Let me show you how it works. So first you go over and enter your UID, no login info is needed. Then you go select the pack that you want. There are many different ones to choose from, and if you buy the bigger ones, you still get the discount. And if you top up for the first time, you get the double bonus as well. After paying, simply wait a few minutes, open the game, and there you go. There's your jades. Lootbar is a very trusted site, with millions of customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and partner with many famous creators. This is legit as the site uses a VPN to cheapen the jades from official top-up routes. I've used it myself many times and saved tons of money with them. So if you're interested in Lootbar, check it out in the link in the description and pinned comment. Back to the video. Number 2. Too much filler. There is a lot of things in the middle of the quest that did not need to be there. The number of puzzles were massive.
And you know what else is massive?
There were so many puzzles in the new quest to the point where it felt like it was being stretched out for the sake of being longer. I'm okay with a few puzzles, but it gets to the point where you can tell it's a take-up runtime. There were also so many door sequences that took quite a while to open, and they were much longer than they needed to be. If something is not important to the story, or there to waste your time, you don't need it. And do we really need to have the Yaoi arc with Maide and Finon in their little competition? I don't think so. Moving on to number 3. Shoehorning characters into the story. There's been a few characters that seem to only be in the story to sell the banners. For example, Boothill barely did anything besides point a gun at Don Hung and then leave. Luckily he did get some more screen time recently in the Rappa quest, but then we have characters like Argenti, who's basically Mr. Worldwide because he shows up everywhere because why not? And even in this patch, I believe that Herta should have had her own little quest instead of being in the main story. I know her part is a little important, but coming off for the climax of the main boss fight onto the Herta space station is pretty jarring. It felt like it was due to her being the rate-up banner. If they want people to listen to it, they can still make it mandatory to do for the next main quest, but I think at that point, people just want it to be an Amphoreus during the Amphoreus story quest. I think that they should better pace either the banners or give their new character some more involvement in maybe things like a companion quest, which brings me on to my next point. Number 4. Utilize more companion quests. We've had updates that are basically all about one character and not really do much outside of that. For example, a lot of, I believe it was 2.1 was just about Aventurine, and 2.7's quest with Fugue as well as Sunday really just felt like those respective characters' companion missions instead of the main story. We haven't gotten a companion mission in quite a while, and I think a feature which we're going to talk about in a second really affects that. I would like some more smaller, less quote important quests to be in those missions instead of the main story, keeping the main story free of extra fluff that it doesn't need. Number 5. Chill out on the POV swapping. It has gotten better recently, which is nice, but sometimes it feels like a way to simply artificially inflate the story. I'm fine with it in some things, just don't overdo it. I feel like Penacony overdid it a lot, and a lot of Penacony spent inside of different characters got kind of annoying. The Herder's entire part at the end of the 3.0 quest didn't help this either. I know it should be used sometimes, and it's alright as long as it isn't used every 5 minutes. Number 6. What they put into the story does not equal the money that they get. This game makes tens of millions of dollars a month, and to see the corners cut in what at this point I would call low effort from the company. There are a few examples. 1. The black screens. This seems like a very cop-out way to show the story instead of animating a cutscene. Instead of telling us Black Swan touched Marsh's forehead, show us Black Swan doing that. But this got even worse when they simply show a picture of something. We had this in the recent quest with the still image of Aglaya, and one of the most popular memes of the community, the Charmony Dove. This scene specifically could have been one of the most impactful scenes in the game. Have Robin and Sunday find the bird, have Robin pick it up, turn around and ask her brother what they should do, have Sunday suggest taking it inside. But unfortunately, none of that happened. They should really try to reduce some of the scenes of nothing but an image. Adding some more cutscenes across the board would be very nice to have in the game. And when characters are talking, they have very little expressions and unique poses, as well as not many interesting camera angles, which is kind of underwhelming considering that Hoyoverse absolutely has the budget to make it happen. In a game like Wuthering Waves, there's a lot more camera work and the characters feel more alive, which Honkai Star is lacking in. These go against some of writing's most important rules. Show, don't tell. Honkai Star Rail does a lot of telling, but doesn't do a lot of showing. They should also add more combat so we can, play the game. Just sitting through dialogue gets very boring very fast. I also need to address the elephant in the room, which is story versus storytelling. Honkai Star Rail's story is fine. Honkai Star Rail's storytelling is abysmal. So you can stop writing the hate comment that you've been typing since 2 minutes into the video. Have you guys ever heard of the phrase, "It's not about what you say, but how you say it"? Presentation is everything. If your storytelling is good, everything else will typically follow suit. Personally, I would take an okay story with great storytelling over a great story with mediocre storytelling any day of the week. There are pieces of media that have very boring stories, but have factors like good storytelling, visuals, and other things to compensate for it. Honkai Star, on the other hand, doesn't have that, making it look a lot worse. I think if Honkai Star worked on improving the story, I think it could really be a great one. They would just have to put in the effort, the resources, and the time for it. But if they don't want to do all this, they should at least add a skip button. There's nothing wrong with having a basic quality of life feature in the game. I'm not sure why this is a controversial opinion, but a skip button would be a net positive for the game, as people who don't want to sit through the story don't have to, and the ones who do can. It also puts pressure on the developers to ensure their story quality is actually worth listening to and keeping the quality up with every future update. I'm really hoping that we see a skip button in the game eventually. Something I think I do need to mention is, I think a lot of people think that I hate the game, will complain about everything, but that just isn't the case. I love this game and I want it to succeed, but when you see the game that you love continue to fail, it's not a good experience. I pride myself on being honest with you guys, and to do that, I'm not going to say something's good if I actually think that it sucks. That's just how it is. Anyways, I want to hear what you think about these suggestions. Do you have any other ideas on how they can improve the story? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, join the Expression Discord server at the link down below, and have an amazing day, everybody. Peace.